everyone, and welcome to this episode of Steve's Horse Show. We are at Billy Cook Saddles in Sulphur, Oklahoma, and we're going to show you how saddles are made. Hello and welcome to this episode of Steve's Horse Show. I'm with Adam Trank, and he is going to explain the process of saddle making. Adam, you bought this business not too long ago, and you actually bought it from the family of Billy Cook. Talk about how you purchased this business and got into the world of saddle making.
I'd been a lifelong fan of the brand. I grew up sitting in a Billy Cook saddle, and in 2019 I learned of Billy's passing shortly after he left us. And I just was curious about what was going to happen to the company as a consumer. You know, a little bit worried that I might not be able to get my next saddle.
How am I going to get another saddle?
And I called and I ended up speaking with the CFO and learned that the company had been in some financial distress. And I thought that was a shame. And she said they might be closing down. And I said, well, do the people still want to work? And she said, yeah, everybody still would really love to keep their jobs. And I said, well, I would really love to try and keep that saddle making legacy going and keep this whole cowboy thing America's got going on, you know, rolling. Does the family want to sell? And she got me in touch with them, and we worked out, you know, an arrangement, and we were able to keep everybody here employed, and we're still making, I think now, the best saddles that you can get today. Our guys who start at the beginning of the assembly process, they'll get an order and they'll come here and they'll look for their tree. We've got a major supplier, comes out of Mexico.
Okay.
We've also got tree suppliers that come from Colorado and I think somewhere in South Texas. More of the high-end custom stuff comes from there.
Gotcha.
And we've got, you know, each of these bins is labeled with the model number of the saddle and then the seat size. So like you would have the tree, the bars, the shape of the cantle and the pommel and everything would be the same, but the seat would be different. We do a lot of tack sales, a lot of wholesale tack sales especially.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, you know, even when we don't have orders, our guys downstairs are constantly building this stuff, and we have, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of SKUs for, you know, various styles of breast collars, various styles of head stalls, reins, spur straps, curb straps, tie downs, basically every form of tack that you could conceive. Wow. Tail croupers, everything. And, you know, we've got pulling collars and, I mean, whatever you want to, whatever you could possibly want. And then the variety, it's, you know, the shape might be the same, but the tooling pattern might differ, or the color of the leather, or the type of hardware, brass or stainless.
And so these are obviously like, this is what we have, but do some people like even want to customize like the different tooling?
We build the order
like
too. Yeah, this is just sort of, this is our inventory for our wholesale, to fill our wholesale orders mostly. When we get a custom order, almost always we try to cut the tack out of the same hide or hides that we're building the saddle out of, so that when we oil the leather, it'll all match perfectly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, just depending on the unique composition of the animal and how the hide was tanned, you know, may absorb the oil and the dye a little bit differently and come up with a different color, even though you're going through the same process.
Yeah.
You know, because they're all unique and individual. So the pallets of leather get sorted, and then they get wheeled in here on a dolly.
Okay.
Then laid out in the different colors and types, right?
This is cool.
And then they go over here to the clicker. And these are all the different dies that give you the general shapes of the parts that you're going to need in order to fit the saddle.
Okay.
And so the clicker press is used, you know, as I explained, the hide goes underneath, the die goes on top, they press it out. These are some of the trimmings that are left over. It begins work in two places concurrently.
Okay.
So over here is our tooling department, and our toolers, you can see Soila's working in the back right now. They'll take the parts of the leather that need to be, you know, tooled and designed and have the artwork basically carved into the leather.
Okay.
And then the saddle tree will go over here, and they'll begin to wrap the horn and build the ground seat. And the ground seat is the part that's underneath the seat before the seat covering goes on it. Once it's tooled and before it's assembled, it will come over here, and the leather gets what we call edged and dyed.
Okay.
So it'll start looking something rough like this.
Okay.
And it'll end up looking something finished like that.
Oh, okay.
So it has a nice finish.
And that's on every edge around the entire...
Every edge of the whole, every piece of leather. Yeah.
Wow.
Or every piece of leather that's exposed.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Ventura and his compatriot Martin will wrap the saddles and build the ground seat. And you can see this is one that's in works.
Okay.
And then attach the riggings is the next step. So that tree on the right has the horn wrapped. over here.
Oh, gotcha.
And then the one immediately to the left of that has the pommel wrapped and the ground seat built, but the riggings haven't been attached yet. And then this one in front of us here, obviously the riggings are going onto it. So those are like 3 different stages in the process
weird.
right there.
Okay.
And then they'll move over to here where we get the everything, the jockey gets put on, the seat gets put in, the cantle back gets wrapped, and then the skirts will be attached a little bit further down the line over there. And once the skirts are finished being put on, which happens in this corner, then the saddles move into the next room.
Okay.
This is our finishing department. So after the skirts have been put on and the fenders and the stirrup leathers and everything have been attached to the saddle, it comes into the finishing department. And over here, you see you got a bunch of saddles that are waiting. Some of these, like this one and this one, are waiting to have their pommels tooled.
Okay.
So I've described to you that the saddles, these pieces of leather are tooled before it's assembled. But we don't tool the pommel until the saddle's done. The reason for that is because you have to stretch this leather on to make it fit. And if you tooled it before you assembled it, it would distort the tooling.
Make it look weird.
So that's the last part of the saddle to get tooled. Then of course they'll have conchos put on, stirrups will be put on, saddle strings as appropriate, and then it would be oiled and conditioned before shipped. So these are saddles that are all waiting to go through finishing. You'll see once the pommels are tooled, we'll pull the fenders and leathers in order to oil them, because when you oil it, if you oil this and then you oil the fenders and you put it back underneath it, it gets like double oiled in spots and it'll look a little splotchy. So it gets taken partially apart again so that the oil application is even and the color isn't distorted.
Okay.
This is their last stop here after they're oiled, is when the conchos and the saddle strings are put on. And then they end up on this rack here, and after that they get boxed, and these are boxes all ready to go out and get shipped to happy homes.
Man, that's crazy.
So, but all of our work is done by hand. We pay attention to detail and inspect every product before it's boxed so that we make sure that everything is exactly as the customer wants it or meets the exact specifications of the catalog item. And then it's boxed and shipped. And,
wow.
We're really proud of it.
That's cool.
And everybody that works here is a true craftsman. These people really know their trades, and some of them have been doing it for 30 years now.